what do you think about the SE size? Do you like it or too small?
So this is the question without a definitive answer, and yes, by today's standards, the iPhone SE is small. It's a 4-inch display, and personally, I don't think I could go back to a screen that size, but it doesn't mean it's not the right option for everyone. The most important point you need to remember about the SE is that it's not the iPhone 7. As obvious as that sounds, acknowledging that fact is the only way to look at the SE for what it is. I've watched countless videos looking at the SE as a step back from the 6S. They've gone back to a smaller screen. They moved the sleep-wake button back from the side to the top, and in reality, they didn't. The SE is an iteration of the 5S, not the 6S. It's simply an option for those who want 2016 performance without a bigger form factor. Now for scale, here's what Instagram looks like on the SE and the 6S. So this should give you a good idea of what you're sacrificing on a smaller screen, but also potentially what you're gaining with a larger one. So for me, I appreciate the extra screen real estate, but putting myself on the other side of the fence, I can see the appeal towards the size of the SE. And surprisingly, there are quite a few people out there who didn't want to upgrade to the 6 or the 6S simply because they didn't want a bigger phone. For me, typing was definitely a struggle at first, but the more I used it, the more comfortable I got. Do I enjoy typing on a 4-inch screen? Absolutely not, but I think that's because I'm coming from a 6S Plus, and while I do think typing is generally easier on a bigger display, if you're coming from a 5, a 5S, or even something like a 4S, you will feel right at home. The other thing that I noticed for me anyways is that this is not a two-handed phone, and once I embraced that, whether it be swiping or typing, that is where I felt most comfortable with the SE. On top of that, I think most of us can agree the look and the design of the 5S is classy as hell, so I'm not sure if a redesign or a shrunken down iPhone 6S would have made much sense. If that were the case, there would need to be a bigger battery, there would be a camera hump like the 6S, and most importantly, you could not stand the iPhone SE upright without a salt shaker. Now there are subtle tweaks on the SE that'll let you know it isn't a 5S, the most obvious being the SE branding on the bottom, but then there's also a stainless steel Apple logo, matte chamfered edges, and a new rose gold color.
Is the iPhone SE really as powerful as the iPhone 6S?
Surprisingly, it is, and to me the iPhone SE is basically Isaiah Thomas. It's small, but fast as hell, and somehow hangs with the giants. Inside is the same A9 processor found in the 6S and 6S Plus, and sure, on paper it sounds fancy. 2 times faster CPU performance, 3 times better GPU performance, but what does it all mean? So to actually show you performance between the iPhone SE and the 6S, what I did was take a 30-second 4K iMovie project and exported them on both. And surprisingly, you might not have expected it, but export times between the SE and the 6S were nearly identical. Now that's cool, but I also wanted to showcase what you're potentially gaining if you're upgrading from a 5 or a 5S. So in this case, I have a 1-minute 1080p iMovie project, and the reason I'm not doing 4K is simply because the 5 and 5S do not support 4K, but this should give you a really good idea of how much faster the SE is compared to the 5S and how much it obliterates the 5. Now the other major upgrade in the iPhone SE is the camera. We see a jump where the iPhone 5S had an 8-megapixel camera up to 12 on the iPhone SE. There's not a huge difference if we're talking strictly quality from the 5S to the SE, but where there is a significant difference is comparing the SE to the iPhone 5. Overall, it is a really good camera. The interface is extremely simple to use, it has fantastic dynamic range, and really it is a smartphone camera that you can trust to get a good shot. Now picture-wise, where there really wasn't a huge difference jumping from the 5S to the SE, where you do see a big difference is video. The iPhone 5S maxed out at 1080p, whereas with the SE, you can record 4K video. The video you're watching right now is in 4K, so for scale and for context, here's an iPhone 5S video at 1080p, and this is an example of how many pixels you're losing with 1080p versus 4K. So not only are you getting more pixels, you're also getting really fantastic looking video. One thing to take note though is out of the box, the iPhone SE is not going to shoot 4K video. You actually have to go into settings and system preferences and change it from 1080p up to 4K. Now I assume the reason it's set to 1080 by default is to save space on the iPhone, and that's where you gotta be careful because roughly a 7-minute 4K video clip on the iPhone SE takes up nearly 3 gigs. So if 4K video recording is appealing to you and that's something you wanna do with the iPhone SE, I would heavily consider stepping up to the 64GB model. That way you're not constantly needing to dump and delete footage. Now, of course, everything is not rainbows and unicorns, so there are some sacrifices with the iPhone SE compared to what you'd get on the iPhone 6s. For starters, the front-facing camera is only 1.7 megapixels compared to 5 on the iPhone 6s. I understand the iPhone SE is a lower-cost phone priced at $399 and $499, but to me, this is where I really feel Apple fell short here because something like a front-facing camera is really important to a lot of people. The other noticeable difference for me coming from a 6s Plus was Touch ID. It is nowhere near as fast. Now again, it's not unusable, but I think this is where the 6s and 6s Plus really spoiled me, because with that, it is literally a touch to unlock, whereas with the SE, you kinda gotta wait a second. Lastly, the other big missing feature from the 6s or 6s Plus is 3D Touch. Now this was probably the least important missing feature on the SE in my opinion. It's cool and it's useful on a 6s and 6s Plus, but I don't know how practical it would be on a 4-inch display. Plus, I understand that is a big reason why the iPhone SE is cheaper. It's really just things like the front-facing camera and Touch ID where I would have loved to see Apple go the extra mile. At the end of the day, the iPhone SE is what it is. It's not innovative, it's not fresh, but I don't think it's trying to be. What it is, however, is exactly what it's intended for. It is a really solid smartphone choice for those who don't want a bigger screen but want better performance, 4K video recording, and a better camera. You definitely are sacrificing screen real estate with a smaller screen, but if you're coming from a 5 or a 5S battery life is better, it is still a great one-handed phone, but now you don't have to deal with slow performance.